Good morning and welcome to our weekend wellness show. We have today a new friend of mine who I met through a mutual friend, and she is an expert in looking at toxicity in our home environment. So Loni here, Loni Brown, she's a certified interior decorator. She's a non-toxic living coach, and she is a speaker. She also founded her own company called EntirelyEco, which is looking at how you can now fill your house with non-toxic products. And so we're going to dive into that today because it is an important concept when we are looking at our health and wellness, especially now when we are stuck more at home more than ever. The whole idea of toxicity in our environment is something that's key, especially as we're trying to build up our immune system, build up our health, try to be able to fight off anything that comes our way. So I want to wish a warm welcome to Loni Brown. Thank you so much for coming on here with us today, Loni.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. So how did you get into looking at the toxic environment of our homes? So can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Sure. So I started my eco journey probably about 20, 25 years ago, and it was mainly centered around nutrition, like food, and then also like skincare, personal products. That was really where I focused for like 2 decades. And it wasn't until about 4.5 years ago when I was pregnant with my first daughter that I started to look at the rest of the home. And you just go through the normal things of trying to figure out what baby furniture you're going to get, what mattress, what clothing. And so I started to do some research and started to learn about all the different toxins that are found in our home and products, like everyday products that we use. And I was fascinated. I was actually like kind of disappointed in myself that like I had led a fairly eco-conscious life, but never attempted to explore the rest of the home. And I was just, my eyes were opened. I became obsessed with researching and learning about all the different chemicals and toxins that can affect us at home. And that's kind of how I got started on this journey. It was really with my baby being pregnant and with the nursery. And then I started to expand to the rest of the house.
That's amazing. So at first you took care of you changed your home, your personal care products, and then you started looking at the home. So where did you find the information? Like where is it, just stuff online? Are you finding it at this company source itself?
Yes, so I started on Google. I mean, it was literally like, I'm pregnant, I'm
Okay.
about to have a baby, you're going through all the excitement, and I literally typed into Google like the best crib mattress for babies.
Uh-huh.
I'm sure
Yeah.
most moms have done that search, right?
Yeah.
And I came across an article and it was talking about the differences between an organic mattress and a
Mhm.
conventional mattress. And I read that article and I was just completely shocked. I was like, wait a minute, like all of these toxins are in like a regular mattress, like for a baby, like how is this even possible? Like formaldehyde and
Ooh.
petrochemicals, petroleum is what the foam is made up, like the foam is
Yeah.
petroleum based. I mean, there were all these
Mhm.
things and I said, wow, like little babies sleep on their mattresses for like 16 hours. Like how could this be possible? And so it literally started with a Google search. And then from there, I started to research more. And I came across, I came across an institute called the Building Biology Institute. And I
Okay.
later actually enrolled to become a certified building biologist because that's how, into it I got. But I came
Mhm.
across the Building Biology Institute and they talk about healthy buildings and the sick building syndrome. And I connected with some other building biologists so I could get, more information and connect with them. And then yes, I started to contact manufacturers directly once I learned about all the different chemicals that could be in different
Wow.
products. When I started to shop, I would contact the companies because a lot of this isn't really disclosed and many companies aren't
Yeah.
really transparent about it, so you do have to reach out to them directly. So that's kind of the
Okay.
the path that I took.
Wow. So what are some of the signs of toxicity that you have found that are related to all these chemicals? Or what are some of the trends that you've seen?
Yes. So I think Well, one, it really all comes down to like your indoor air quality. That's where most of it comes from. All the different types of toxins and pollutants that are found in household products, they tend to off gas, or even like if you think about that petroleum-based foam, the foam breaks down over time. It releases, it gets into dust in the air, and then you breathe it in. So respiratory issues are huge. At the asthma rate has like skyrocketed over the last 30 years. In terms of allergies and asthma, I think there was a stat that I read that was like 30 years ago, it was like 1 in 30 people suffered from that. And now it's like 1 in 3, and it's primarily children, which is just insane.
Yeah.
And it's mostly because our buildings, our homes, indoors, they've become more energy efficient over the last 20 years or so.
Yeah.
And so everything is so like tight that there's like nothing to leak out. 30, 40 years ago, our homes weren't that energy efficient. So there were gaps and holes. And so fresh air could get in and bad air could seep out. And so things weren't so confined. Now with all the energy efficiency, which is a good thing. I'm not
That part's good.
I'm not against energy efficiency, but a result of that energy efficiency is that our buildings can't breathe anymore. And so all of those pollutants, that would have, seeped out 30 years ago, they're all staying trapped indoors now. And so our indoor air quality is just becoming worse and worse. And then also there just weren't as many chemicals 30 years ago as there are now. So a lot of these chemicals are synthetic, they're man-made chemicals. There's not a lot of studies and research on them until like years later. And so we just have more exposure to a lot more chemicals and pollutants. So I think just that combination has just made it really hard to be indoors. And a lot of these different illnesses, like I said, respiratory problems, cancers, like there's a lot of things in plastics, like we now know, like BPA and phthalates and things like that are, they're carcinogens. So there's a whole like host of health issues that can happen from these. And the crazy thing about it is it's not like you breathe in some indoor air, like some indoor toxins and you have like cancer tomorrow, right? Like that doesn't happen. And so a lot of people really aren't conscious about this because it is something that happens over time.
Yeah. So then what are some of the more common things that really give off the chemicals? If you look around a typical household, what are some of the more common ones?
So I would say a big one is flame retardants, because those typically are found in carpeting, in rugs, in comforters, even in clothing, like baby clothing, which is crazy to me. But any type of fabric that's, that's in your home, there's a chance that they can have flame retardants, because in the US especially, there are laws that, manufacturers have to have, fire retardant products. And so they've added all these chemicals to these things. Now there's some really bad flame retardants like PBDEs that are now becoming banned. And so companies are having to find different ways to make their products flame retardant. But for the longest time, they just added these terrible chemicals that are now like studies have proved that they now cause all kinds of health issues, especially cancer is the big one. But if you haven't changed out a lot of these, your sofa, your carpet, like if you haven't changed them out since those have been banned, there's a good chance that that's in there. But there are eco-friendly alternatives like wool, for example. All the carpet in my home, all the rugs in my home, it's made out of 100% wool, which is naturally flame retardant. So you could sell those in the US and not have to add any type of chemical flame retardant to them. So there's mattresses, there's even, I have a friend who has an organic kid clothing line, and they have a newborn sleep sack, and it's lined with merino wool, because wool is temperature regulating, but it's also flame retardant, so they're not having to add all these extra, chemicals into the clothing.
Okay.
So flame retardant, I say, are a big one for homes.
Okay.
And other ones are VOCs, which are volatile organic compounds, and these
Okay.
are going to be found in things like paints, stains. So if you have any kind of furniture or wood in your home that have been stained, there are VOCs in there. Any kind of like finishing usually is where you find VOCs. Also, household cleaners have a lot of VOCs in them, that just basically things that off gas. Furniture itself, so especially if you have furniture that's like pressed wood or particle board, a lot of that kind of furniture, there are glues and resins and adhesives to kind of hold the wood together. And those adhesives and glues have formaldehyde in them. And so those will off gas for years. So all of those type of chemicals create VOCs, and you breathe those in essentially. So that's another big one for within the home.
Okay. So that covers quite a bit of our household items. So wool is a great option for like carpet and rugs. What about furniture? Do you just recommend like a strict wood that's not composite wood? Do you recommend not staining stuff? Like, how do you have furniture and how do you take care of it to avoid all these things that produce gas?
So, so solid wood furniture is going to be better because there's less, it's not particle board or pressed wood where there's like so much glue in there that has to keep it all together. There might, even in a solid wood piece, there might be some glue in the joints and things like that. But really, solid wood furniture is best. If you know, like now, like there are some certifications like Green Guard certified, for example. They have Green Guard Gold and Green Guard. Those furniture, they've been certified to be low VOC. So you know that any of the glues or the paints or the stains that have been used in those finishes have been approved, and there are low VOC. But if you can't find that, or if that's just not within your reach, then getting an unfinished solid wood a piece is best. And then you could stain it yourself, because there's now, even at the big box stores, you can find low VOC and zero VOC paints and stains.
Oh,
So
okay.
we were able to just find some solid wood furniture, and we told the manufacturer, can you give it to us unfinished?
Yeah.
And then and then we were able to just finish it on our own. And there's some really easy stains. Like I'm not a furniture maker, but it was really easy. I got a little kid table for my toddler, and we got it unfinished off of Etsy, and we just stained it ourselves. So, or you can paint it yourself. So that's fun too, especially for all the DIYers out there that like to do that stuff anyway. Now we have access to these low and zero VOC finishes. You can do these projects on your own, but there are a lot of companies that they advertise that they have low VOC and zero VOC stains and paints. So now you can, even if you're not a DIYer and you don't want to do it yourself, you can still find finished products that are like that. The challenge is, if this is recent, so like within the last 10 years. So if you have some pieces that you've gotten a long time ago, what some people, especially if they're solid wood and it's a good quality piece, you can sand it down and then refinish it. So some people have done that as well, because even like 30, 40 years ago, not only did paints have VOCs, they also had lead in them. And the lead, now it's against the law to sell paints with certain amounts of lead in them. So but the old pieces, the vintage pieces, a lot of them had lead paint on them, and they start to chip off over time. And then when they chip off, they get trapped in dust, and then you breathe in the dust. So if you have some of those heirloom vintage pieces, it's good to kind of keep them, but like sand them down and then refinish them in something that's a little more eco.
Yeah. So if you can't, let's say it's so overwhelming, your house is full of carpet and all that, you have tons of wood that's manufactured with stains. Are there ways around tearing your carpet out, getting new wood? Can you go with a certain type of air filter that helps filtrate stuff? Is that a possibility?
Yes, and even easier, opening up your windows.
Yeah. Yeah.
I tell people like the quickest way that you can remove and eliminate some toxins and pollutants in your home is to open up all the windows and turn on fans.
Okay.
Because essentially, like I said, our buildings are so tightly enclosed now. So you're essentially letting bad air out and letting fresh air in. It's shocking to think that our indoor air is actually more polluted than the outside air, which, there's like cars and exhaust and everything out there, but it's actually, our indoor air is 2 to 5 times more polluted than outdoor air. So opening up all your windows, turning fans on while you open your windows, and you don't have to do this for a long time. I mean, really 15 minutes a day is fine. And not even every day. Like sometimes, you could do it for an hour a week. If that's all that you can do, it's going to be better than not.
Right.
So yeah, opening up the windows, turning on fans, letting out that bad air, bringing in the fresh air. Air purifiers are great. They have portable ones. And there's even air purifiers now that are certified to remove VOCs from the air, which is great. Okay. Before they didn't have that. They would remove, big stuff out of there, like big dangerous things, but it wouldn't be enough to remove like these micro airborne particles like VOCs. Now there are like several air purifiers out there that are certified to remove VOCs. So that's another way. And then just your normal HVAC system in your home, using a HEPA filter in there also will help as well. So I do all of it. I have a HEPA filter in my HVAC. We have portable air purifiers that we can roll around the house, keep them in the baby rooms, keep them in the rooms that we sleep in, and we open up our windows.
So you do all of that. Well, I know, Arizona has been over 110 degrees, at least the Phoenix area, for a long period of time. So you probably have to do it at night to do that. But I know there's so much pollution out in there in the air as well. But I can understand that it's so concentrated in our houses that we need to at least get some of it out of our houses. What about things like household cleaning products? What's the danger in those? And, I guess it depends on how much you clean your house as well, but what are some of the pitfalls with them, and what are some products that would be better?
Yeah. So household cleaners are like it's like the biggest culprit, because people will use those every day, and they're all like mostly synthetic. So they're all chemical based, bleach, ammonia, you name it. And those are going to get into the air in your home. A lot of them also have artificial and synthetic fragrances, which that's a whole other story, because that's in personal products too. But fragrance is a term that's literally one ingredient on the label, and can literally in that one ingredient be like 200 to 400 different chemicals just within fragrance alone. And manufacturers are protected because of like trade secret law. So they actually don't have to disclose what's in fragrance. They can just list fragrance, and hidden within that one ingredient could be like 200 chemicals. And they don't have to disclose it because of trade secret law. It's like proprietary, right? So they have found and studied products and tested products, and they found like phthalates that are like hidden in fragrance. So it's just crazy what can be in there. So, and again, lots of cleaners will have that citrus lemon scent, and and it's just bad. So anyway, so not only do you have the actual chemicals in the product, you also have all these other ones that are not even listed in the product to be aware of as well. So I tell people, if you're going to shop, if you want to buy like household cleaners at like a big box retailer, I say look for unscented or free and clear, because free and clear usually means that they don't have fragrance, which is literally cuts out like 200, 400 chemicals. So if you like the the special scent, then I would just recommend adding some of your own essential oil into the product. So buy a free and clear product. You can find them at Target, all the different big box stores. because at least they're not going to have, you know, fragrance, and a lot of those, it's going to be unscented typically, is, you know, free and clear. It's going to not have a lot of those harsh chemicals, because free and clear tends to be a little bit more gentle. There's still going to be toxic things in free and clear products, but it's going to be way less toxic than the non-free and clear ones.
Got it.
Now, if you want to go to the extreme, you can make your own cleaners, and that's what I do a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's really easy. It's literally like you get some castor soap, and you can add in some vinegar and add in some essential oils, and bam.
Really?
Yep. So there's so many different, like you could just research, like Google essential oil, like cleaning solutions, like homemade or DIY. And there's so many great recipes out there, for all different things. And then even like glass cleaner, I tell people this and no one believes me until they try it. Like Windex is, you know, like if you look up Windex on the EWG, they have the skin deep database where you can research products, and based on the chemicals in the products, it gives it a score from, I think it's like 0 to 10, and like 10 is red, being really bad. Windex is like 9. So it's just so bad, but people are like, how am I going to keep my glass and mirrors clean? And the trick that I use is microfiber towel and water.
Really?
It works. I mean, and again, microfiber, like it's a synthetic fabric. So, you know, there is going to be probably some pesticides and things in there, but it's going to be way better than Windex. So I say just get a good microfiber towel and just water and streak free clean. Like I told people about this and they didn't believe me until they tried it.
Oh, that's neat. Wow. What do you do about, so a friend of mine, Chris Warmbold, he has a clothing company where he's really into organic cotton for all clothing, which I know resonates probably really well with you. And so with this, like, so if you, let's say you have clothes, I imagine your laundry detergent is a huge factor as well, because whatever you wash your clothes in, you have whatever chemicals in your clothes that you use to wash, plus the chemicals that are put on the clothes with the dyes. So what do you suggest for people with that situation?
Yeah. So similar to the household cleaning products, buy a free and clear laundry detergent. You can get them at the big box stores. And again, if you have to have the scent, you know, then throw in some essential oil with it. It's totally fine. I don't recommend using dryer sheets. A lot of those dryer sheets also have all those nice smells and things like that. But they have, you know, they now have these like wool little balls that you can throw in to the dryer, and it basically gives the same effect of like a dryer sheet. Helps to get the wrinkles out and things like that. And again, you can apply some essential oil to it if you really have to have that lavender scent or whatever scent you want. The citrus smell. But yes, organic clothing is important. I mean, even my sofas in my home now, it's been upholstered in organic cotton. And of course, all of the clothing that I put my children in, you know, tend to be organic. And I know that not everybody can do that. Although there are so many brands now, like you can get organic cotton kid clothing at Target now, which is great. So there's a lot of Amazon. I mean, there's a lot of affordable options now. But I always say, like, you know, at least the pajamas that your kids are in, you know, have those be organic cotton because they're sleeping in them and for long hours at a time. And then the underclothing. So like my little toddler, she'll wear like an undershirt and that's actually touching her skin, but like maybe her big puffy coat that we wear, like, as it snows here, I'm in Denver, that's not organic, but it's going over, you know, something that's touching her skin. So I like that. I like to do that for my kids. And then even some of my own clothing, I've gotten now organic. There's a lot more brands for adults. It used to be like the kids are the ones that got the organic clothing, but now there's so many great sustainable fashion brands out there that are now using organic cotton. And the thing with fabrics, especially for clothes, is even if you get 100% cotton, because people are like, well, 100% cotton is a natural fiber. It's not like synthetic fibers like polyester or nylon or rayon. Like 100% cotton should be fine. The thing is that cotton, the conventional cotton, it uses 25% of the world's pesticides. Like it is the like it's like the crop that like uses the most pesticides. And so not only does it come with pesticides, but the dyes that have like dyed the clothing, those are all like harsh and you know, chemical based as well. So when you have organic cotton, usually the dyes are safer. You don't have all those pesticides or added chemicals that get introduced into the production process. So it's just better all around. So I just tell people like where you can, you know, use organic cotton and like even like my baby rug. So we talked earlier, like what if your whole carpet is synthetic and you're just not in the means like rip out all of your carpet? Well, you could put a wool rug over your synthetic carpet or an organic cotton rug over your synthetic carpet. And that's what you let your babies run, you know, roll around on and play on and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. So even going further, I imagine the bedroom. We sleep in our bed, hopefully 8 hours or 7 hours a night, sometimes less. But I imagine the sheets too, trying to find cotton sheets. And do you go even beyond that with, besides the sheets and pillowcases, do you look at mattresses as well for adults? I know you look at mattresses for your babies, but what about for adults?
Yes, and I would actually start with the mattress and the pillows even before the sheets, because the sheets, even if you didn't have an organic cotton sheet, you're washing it over and over and over, and so over time you're removing some of those chemicals. I mean, they're still going to be there, but your mattress, you're not like throwing that in the washing machine, right? So, and a lot of the mattresses are, you know, made out of the same things that are like our cushions are and our sofas, and it's made out of polyurethane foam, which is petroleum based foam. So, you know, not great. And then on top of that, there's added flame retardants too, to the mattress. So there are, again, once again, there are like so many, like you could get a $300 organic mattress now. Like 10, 15 years ago, you had to spend like $3,000 minimum, you know, to get this type of a mattress. And it just was out of reach for many people. But now, I mean, you could get a $300 organic mattress, which is amazing. And that's going to have not polyurethane foam. It's going to have natural latex, which is rubber it's like rubber from the rubber tree. It can have wool, which we know is already naturally flame retardant. Even if you're having a natural latex mattress, usually it's wrapped in wool because that's what's going to make it flame retardant without having to add the chemicals. It'll be encased in an organic cotton covering. There's also mattresses made out of like coconut husk too, which is like a newer thing that I've been seeing, which is really cool. So there's a lot of natural fibers that come in these organic mattresses. Now, I will say there's a caveat. Organic is not a regulated term. So manufacturers can just say, oh, organic. And there could be like one, you know, tiny percentage of it that has something that's organic. So I always tell people, if you're going to buy an organic mattress, make sure that it's certified by, you know, GOTS or Goals or like a trusted third party certification that makes it organic, because it's not a regulated term. So anyone could say organic. And then you also, there's greenwashing in the industry, which essentially just means that these manufacturers know that people are starting to become a little bit more conscious, and they're actually looking for green and eco-friendly and sustainable alternatives. And so these manufacturers that have toxic products are starting to like label their products natural, organic, eco-friendly, all unregulated terms. And so when a manufacturer has like a toxic product, but they're labeling it green or sustainable or natural, and the packaging has like plants on it and it's green, but the product is in fact toxic, that's called greenwashing. And there's so many companies that do that. And so there are these mattresses now that have a few different names. They'll say, oh, we have soy foam, or they call it bio foam or eco foam. Essentially what it is it's polyurethane foam. 90% of the mattress is polyurethane foam, and they've added in some soybean oil into the foam. And so now they call it soy foam or bio foam or eco foam because it has 10% of like soybean oil added to it. But it's 90% polyurethane foam, which is what regular mattresses are. And they're actually charging a premium on these products. So it just angers me. And so I tell people, like, make sure it's like polyurethane foam free, right? Those type of things, or it's certified organic by a trusted third-party certification. So you have to be careful with that.
Okay, that makes sense. Are there any other kind of household items or products that we wouldn't really think about and we just use that really do have some toxic component to it? Anything else that we haven't covered?
Yeah, like your kitchen.
Okay.
So I am pretty much anti-plastic. Now I have not gotten to the point where I've removed all plastic from my home. It's just, that's a little hard. But I have tried to swap out as many plastic things, especially within the kitchen, as I possibly can. So those like food storage containers that you keep your leftovers in, I no longer use plastic. I just have glass ones. They may have like a plastic lid, that clicks on them, but the body itself where your food is actually touching for long periods of time, like that's going to be glass. I have swapped out all of my water bottles, all of my plastic water bottles, and I now use glass or stainless steel water bottles, even the ones like I take to the gym. Your pans, a lot of those like Teflon, like non-stick pans have this coating on them, and the coating is toxic. There's like PFOAs, I think, are in there. So there's like a lot of these chemicals that are found in the non-stick pans. So you have to be really careful with that. And especially over time, the non-stick coating starts to chip away. Like if you've ever like scratched a pan, you can kind of like see that. And then that's actually getting into your food. And that's known to be a known carcinogen. So it actually causes cancer. But there are lots of, stainless steel pans, ceramic, the good old cast iron, that are like my grandma used to use. I mean, those are all better than the non-stick kind of Teflon ones.
That's good.
Yeah. So those, I've like swapped out my spatulas, no more plastic spatulas. I use wooden spatulas, or I use the like food grade silicone spatulas. So those are going to be more like better choices than like the plastic. Because again, plastic breaks down over time. If your spatulas are old, they could have BPA in them, phthalates, all kind of things.
Oh, geez,
So that's one. And then I would say the one that was the most shocking to me too was the shower curtain.
I didn't think about that.
And I did not realize how toxic shower curtains were. Like, especially those plastic ones, or like the plastic liners that go on the inside. They are made with PVC, and PVC has, phthalates in there. And not only that is when you have that toxic plastic shower curtain in your shower and you're taking a hot shower, the heat actually releases more of the chemicals. So now there's, you can still get a plastic liner, but you want to make sure it's PVC free or phthalate free. And so there's new ones now that are, I think they're called like EVA or PIVA. It's like PEVA, or some of them are EVA. And it's a different type of plastic that they're using, and it doesn't have PVC or phthalates or anything like that in them. So that's one. I have an organic cotton shower curtain. And then really, like when we built our new home, for most of the showers in our house, we just did glass door. So that we didn't even have to think about a shower curtain. But our kids, we have a shower curtain in there, and we have a organic cotton one, and then the liner is that PIVA liner, which is PVC free.
Yeah, and it's funny because you don't realize it until you get something new, and you can smell the gases come off. And I know a couple of years ago I got a new car, and those reek of chemicals and gases. And even now, because I don't use my car very much, you can still smell the residual. And it's like, gosh, for 2 years now, I still smell stuff from that new car smell. And at first you're like, oh, great, new car smell. And it's like, no, that's not a good thing.
No, those are VOCs. Like people ask me like, how do you know VOCs? I'm like, new car smell, or if you open up a package, you open up your shower curtain or you open up your mattress and you get that you know, that those are VOCs, that new paint, you know,
Yeah.
smell and stain, right? A lot of those are the VOCs. And the thing about it is some people are like, oh, you could just like air it out in your garage for like a week before you put it in your house. And it's like, no, that's going to continue to off gas for like years to come.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you can't really get around it with a new car, but I tell people, if you have a new car and you have a garage, just like pull it in your garage, open the windows, and just keep your windows open constantly when you're driving in it. If the weather permits, you know, if it's like a blizzard outside, then obviously you can't have the windows open, but, or like 120 degrees in Arizona, you can't, but other than that, like try to, you know, if it's a new car, like especially for those first few months, try to roll the windows down, because some people it will literally give them a headache, you know, sitting in the car for an hour,
Definitely.
in those fumes.
Yeah, definitely. So have you seen transformations in people on a short-term scale when they've changed their whole household? Or is this something that you may not notice the effects right away, but over time you notice it? Do you have any stories?
Yeah, so I think it's both. So, you know, one really quick win is an air purifier in your bedroom. My husband is not the best sleeper, and you know, work stress and just all the stuff that comes with it, and he's just, you know, he's just not a great sleeper. And we just simply didn't do anything else but just put an air purifier in our room, and he sleeps so much better. It's just amazing. Like, you know, we have the air purifier, and we also have these little snake plants. We have a snake plant right on our nightstand, and snake plants they're also naturally air purifying. And snake plants are nocturnal, which is really interesting.
Oh.
Most plants give off all of their good properties and benefits in the daytime when the sun is hitting them. Snake plants are the opposite. They actually give off all of their beneficial properties at night. So that's why it's to have a snake plant in your bedroom. So we have a snake plant on each of our nightstands, and just our portable air purifier. And that alone, like my husband sleeps so much better now. It's just amazing. Just that quick little win. I have a snake plant and an air purifier in my toddler's room. I mean, she sleeps for like 12 hours straight.
Wow. All the parents are like, wait, where do I get the snake plant? What does it look like?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's things like that you can, you know, it's not going to cure your asthma or like any major respiratory thing overnight. I think it will significantly help. So if you have, you know, if someone in your home has a respiratory issue or asthma or anything like that, having that air purifier in there is going to make worlds of difference. So little things like that before you even change your whole home can make a big difference.
Got it. That makes sense. How about, so we also touched a little bit on autoimmune diseases, or at least we had a conversation about that at one point. What are some of the autoimmune disorders that you have seen in the research and results about toxicity? And do you know which kind of autoimmune disorders?
You know, I haven't actually done like extensive research into all the different ones that, you know, that it can contribute to. But what I always tell people is that whenever you are having any kind of health, you know, health issue, especially autoimmune or even respiratory, there are different ways that you can tackle it. And I always say, like, you know, protect is one, where you want to try to do everything you can to like boost your immune system, really focus on your microbiome, which now there's, you know, a lot of studies that talk about the benefits of having a healthy microbiome. And really, toxins and pollutants in the home severely impact both of those things, your immune system and your microbiome. So because it just is making it really hard for your system to work properly when it's constantly being exposed. And toxins in the body, they build up over time. So it's something that's like slowly building up, and, you know, people do like different detoxes and things like that to try to reduce that load. But like these changes that we talked about today, that's going to significantly help your immune system and your microbiome. So it's going to give you a better fighting chance to fight off some of these things. And then especially like, you know, the kitchen products. I mean, that was one of the big one of the studies that they did was around the kitchen products and those chemicals leaching into our foods and how it, really impacts, autoimmune disorders and things like that, and cancer and whatnot. So I always told people, like, you have to come from that angle of like, you want to do everything you can to like boost your immune system. And there's so many people they're taking vitamin C and vitamin D and exercising and eating healthier. And they don't realize that they're doing all these great things and it's being like it's counterproductive to also to then just be living in a home that's full of indoor pollutants and toxins. You're kind of reversing all of that good that you're doing. So that's one side. And then I say, so you want to protect, and then you defend, right? So then that's where you're going to get more creative and you're going to be strategic about how you remove different toxins in your home. Like, I understand that's going to be really overwhelming to like gut your whole house out and do everything all at once, but you can start in the places where it makes the most sense. Like maybe your household cleaners, you could do some swaps there to easily make a difference. You can swap out some of your kitchenware and make a difference there. You could swap out your mattress, right? You could tackle the flooring and all that stuff maybe later. That you can solve with the air purifier. So if you have furniture that's off gassing, then your air purifier can help with those. So, you have to be strategic about it, and you can start where I always say, like, start in your bedroom, because that's where you're probably spending the most amount of time in your home. Although these days, I don't know, you're kind of spending you're kind of spending all day at home now, but before, we were at work all day and then we would come home and then we're mostly in our bedrooms for the majority of the times. That's where I usually would have people start.
Right. That's fascinating. So tell us a little bit about your company. So EntirelyEco, so it's on the same lines. So what exactly do you do with this company? What do you share for people? What are your products?
Sure. So after going through my journey of doing all of this research and really understanding, what kind of products to get and which ones were greenwashed or not toxic. I mean, it was just hours and hours and hours of research. And I thought, like, no one's going to do this. Like, no one's going to take the time to like really invest in this. They're just going to like go to the store. They're going to look at something. They're going to look at the label, be like, oh, this seems pretty good. And they're going to buy it. They're just not going to go through the extent of research that I did. And so I said, I want to make it easier for people. I want to have a better way. Like if I could create a store where like I have personally vetted all of the brands, all the products, so that people don't have to do that extensive research on their own. If you could just have a place that that anything that's being sold here you can trust. I would have wanted that when I was going through this process. Right. And there are some great sites that focus on like food, like Thrive Market and Whole Foods even, where they really focus on, the food aspect. There's a lot of personal care product sites where you can go and buy your face wash and your shampoo, and they've done the research. But I could not find many home decor sites where the pillows and the comforters and, all that kind of stuff, you could find that was trusted. Like, it just really didn't exist. There's not many that, that there are. So I was like, I'll just create this company. So that's what I did. And I've curated these brands, and I'm constantly researching and contacting manufacturing companies, contacting brands, and adding to the store. But essentially anything that I sell, like, I have personally vetted, and it meets the criteria. They're not greenwashed products. They are truly safer than whatever else is out there. So that's really the products that I sell in the store. And then we have an educational side of the business as well, because I have an interior decorating background, and most interior designers or interior decorators that you work with, they are going to focus on the beauty and the aesthetics, right? That's really what they specialize. Many of them don't necessarily have the knowledge of like which type of furniture is not only going to meet your design style, but also be non-toxic, right? And have low VOCs. And so that service kind of educational side of our business, we do that. So we do interior design services, and then we even have like DIY like courses and programs where we just teach you, and you can just do it on your own. We show you like, okay, here's, how you vet furniture companies. Here are some of the certifications that you look for, things like that.
Okay.
People can do it on their own.
That's wonderful. And let's go through what your website is one more time.
It's EntirelyEco.com, spelled
Okay.
exactly how it sounds.
Okay, wonderful.
.com. Yeah, and then we have some educational resources. I have some guides. We have a blog that we are starting to be a lot more active with. That we'll be a lot more active with over the next year or so.
Yeah, and can people sign up for an email subscription just to get information from you? Is that part of your blog then?
Yes.
Okay.
You could actually subscribe to the blog, or you could download our free guide. So we have like a home, a non-toxic home quick start guide. So if you download that, then you'll be on our email list. And so as I'm constantly doing more research, I mean, there's all kinds of new chemicals that are coming out that you have to be aware of. So I will do weekly emails based on that. So just to help people, and it's all, free and, content like that.
Okay, wonderful. And if people want to get a hold of you personally, is there a way they can do that? Is that through your website that you prefer people to contact you?
Actually, Facebook or Instagram is great. You could DM me on either Facebook or Instagram.
Okay.
I do check the contact form on our website as well. But it's faster, to just do a DM because I have my phone with me all the time. So a DM on Facebook or Instagram. And I want you to add EntirelyEco. Yeah, add EntirelyEco on Instagram, and then same on Facebook.
Okay, that sounds great. That's wonderful. Any last minute advice as we wrap up here?
My last piece of advice would be everything in moderation. I know that going on this journey and changing your lifestyle like this can be overwhelming at times, because when I share a lot of this information with people are just like, I don't want to know. Like, ignorance is bliss, and they think that they have to do it all to make a difference. And you really don't. Like the one simple thing that I said at the beginning of opening your windows. Like, if you don't do anything else that I said here today, just open your windows, a few times per week. And that's just going to help a little bit. So start where you can, and then just build. They're just like little bricks that you build on. I'm not even perfect yet. My entire house isn't even perfect yet. I'm still on that journey. I'm still finding ways to improve it. So don't be overwhelmed. Everything in moderation, including moderation, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
That would be my big piece of advice.
Well, we really appreciate you coming on here today. Thank you so much for joining us, sharing us this great knowledge, and helping us, change our life to help our health and our wellness. So we really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. I hope it was helpful.
It definitely was. And thank you all for watching today. Have a great rest of your weekend. We will see you in a week. And that's all for today. Bye, guys.